reaction to... Hello, everyone. We are having the reaction to Critical Role episode 13 of Campaign 4. Thank you for joining. This is a channel where we love to react, to do pre-shows, do interviews with the Critical Role cast, and all kinds of other things Critical Role related. And we're reacting to the 13th episode. I can't believe we are on episode 13, but we're going to dive into kind of like a breakdown and a reaction and a little bit of a recap of everything that we've seen. And if you want to get my attention, by the way, there are going to be spoilers. If you have not watched episode 13, this is not the stream for you. So this is going to be very off the cuff, our emotional reactions, kind of our analysis, and also like a recap of everything that's been going on in the show and what has happened in episode 13. So you've been warned. Spoilers have been said. You should know better. So let's go ahead and dive into it. This was one of what a cold open. This was one of my favorite cold opens of all time in this campaign 4. So very specifically, I think we got some backstory on Bolaire that we did not normally have. We haven't gotten before, and certainly we've always known now that he's been an artifact, and I suspected that very early on that he might be an artifact this entire time before this. But now we see the moment, this pivotal moment where Bolaire shifts from becoming this mask, this kind of artifact that is sentient, that is of service, to suddenly having some sort of agency and deciding to strike off on their own path. And it kind of reminds me of any time, something like AI, something like Ultron. We've seen this before where when something that is mechanical, when something that is not human, that is like physical, and maybe it's a magical item, maybe it's a robot, maybe it's a construct, suddenly becomes sort of self-aware and realizes that the rules that it is living its life by, that it is conducting itself, are now in fact changed. And this is what I really, really love about the cold open for episode 13, having to do with Bolaire, because it's such a wonderful and interesting departure, I thought. Not even a departure, but we see in a very little amount of time this wild amount of character development coming off of Bolaire. So let's dive into it. I'm going to pop out chat so I can follow along with everybody else, what everyone else is saying. And I love this stuff. I love anything to do with something becoming sentient and aware. That stuff makes me super excited. I don't know why. It's something of interest for me personally. I always love stories like that. So thank you for everyone who's jumping into chat right now. And I know a few people are still watching the rebroadcast as well. But let's go ahead and dive into it. So it's year 57. Bolaire is currently fighting for freedom. He is at some kind of harvest festival, and he's with a variety of different soldiers. And these soldiers are talking back and forth, and it appears that Bolaire is not, in fact, in control. That the soldier that he is currently on their face, he's being very amicable about letting, whether the mask is staying on or not, stuff like this. Bolaire is being used as a weapon. They mentioned that they have a battle with the Royces tomorrow, these rebels. And they, I think it's Castiff, has been wearing, is the character who's been wearing this mask for so long. They mentioned that he's been wearing the mask for way too long. And all of them have been essentially wearing the mask at different times to share the burden. One of them mentions that the last time he had to try to take off the mask that is Bolaire, he almost crapped himself. It was such a difficult thing for him to do. So we get the sense that Bolaire's power and effect over people is almost inherent. It wasn't necessarily, maybe Bolaire on some subconscious level didn't want to be taken off of someone, but now we see this start to be more actualized. So these rebels are kind of taking turns wearing the mask that is Bolaire, but the mask has always served them. a caravan suddenly drops by and a platform drops as well, and we have this character, this theater troupe that basically sets up camp. This character has a white face, a beauty mark, and cascading curly red hair. This is very much the look that Bolaire eventually adopts himself. The long curly red hair, the mask that is white, and a little bit of a beauty mark. And they proceed to talk about the trickster's tale. And the fact that is very interesting about this is these masks basically wrote the trickster god out of reality. What is being told, and this is new information to us, what is being told on the theater is a completely different story than what Bolaire knows. And so Bolaire is fascinated that this theater troupe can talk about something that to him is not true. And it's this wonderful moment of Bolaire the Mask just not understanding how this could be possible. Like, how can this theater troupe have one truth or say this thing that to him, to Bolaire, is an objective lie because Bolaire was there? And you see this dawning of a realization that Bolaire can lie, that Bolaire can tell a different story, that Bolaire can do different things. And we watch Bolaire as he's seeing this theater, this performance from this theater troupe of essentially his life for all intents and purposes, like one of the key moments in his life. And he's realizing that he could lie, or that he could be enthralled with the idea of imagination to rewrite your past. All of this is suddenly just crashing upon Bolaire, that things are not necessarily binary. They aren't necessarily zeros and ones. And though he knows this story is a complete lie, he falls in love with it. You see Bolaire fall in love with the theater. And it's such a great moment. And this happens so quickly, and this is so much of fantastic acting, and we have a couple occurrences of this within this episode by Taliesin and Jaffe. You see it all in his face. You see the bright-eyed joy on Taliesin's face as he's watching this performance of this theater troupe, and you get the sense increasingly, like at first we see this confusion from Bolaire as to why this group of people can just lie. And then he starts to warm up and starts becoming romanced by this tale. So we know that now the masks somehow, during their theater performance originally, wrote the trickster out of reality by telling some type of story. This is kind of doing something in the reverse for Bolaire, almost making Bolaire real. The last time he saw the stage was the time that they killed the trickster god. And that's new information as well. Now, what they are saying in this theater troupe is that the trickster god became mortal. She ran into this goodly knight, gave this knight 3 different tests, 3 tricks, and Bolaire's really into this story. And the knight basically passed all of these different tricks, and in the process of the trickster god in this theater performance, this knight eventually just kind of falls in love with the trickster god, and the trickster god becomes mortal, and that's kind of it for the trickster god. At one point, a dog runs onto stage, which is a very typical thing they did in like medieval theater and stuff, and we see this in like renditions of theater in things like Game of Thrones, because they kind of add a dog running around for no reason for like comedic relief, to kind of like mix things up when it's overly dramatic. It's kind of it's a nice affectation that Brennan added to this particular moment. So I really enjoyed it. I'm going on a lot about this scene, but this is like this cold open I could have watched for 5 hours. The rest of the rebels, however, are concerned because they see their friend watching this theater performance, and the mask tries to tell them, "Hey, no. It's he's really enjoying it. That's why he's sitting here. I'm just here as well as the mask. He's enjoying this performance. We don't get any indication that the soldier he's attached to enjoys this performance in any way, shape, or form. So they start talking that they need to remove the mask and put it in the box. And Bolaire becomes very concerned, very frightened, and he casts Mask of Many Faces, which is not something you cast. It is actually an ability that warlocks can choose out of their kit of different abilities, which allows you to spam Disguise Self. So we do know now that Bolaire is officially 100% a warlock of some kind, either a Hexblade warlock or, I suspect, a completely new subclass that has been homebrewed by Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford and Brandley Mulligan, along with Taliesin Jaffe. So this is very much a warlock ability. Bolaire is a warlock. We already had very strong hints at that, if not complete outright confirmation to this fact, but now we know, and knowing is half the battle. So he casts Mask of Many Faces. He casts Disguise Self using Mask of Many Faces. He decides to use Disguise Self to make himself look like the person under the mask, and then he mimes taking off the mask and putting it in his pocket. And so now at this point, Bolaire is pretending to be the person under the mask, and that he is no longer under possession. He puts a fake mask into his jacket. He pretends to be the guy. He keeps on kind of focusing on the lie, and then he's watching the play, and in this play they have this really lovely moment where like a lie can be true is said, and this obsessed Bolaire. He's like, a lie can be true. Evil sometimes just needs a bit of kindness. And Bolaire had never thought of this before, that evil somehow could be triumphed over by just being kind to it, to being good because of good deeds, not necessarily something that is just violence. And I love that as well. I thought this was super interesting. He tells the man that he now, Bolaire, is wearing, really, that he apologizes that he will never come to the surface again. He tells this man who he is possessing, you will never come to the surface again. I'm going to fight the battle that you are fighting. I appreciate you. It's this horrific kind of kindness of someone telling you something deeply dark and insidious and saying you will never rise to the surface ever again. And he apologizes sincerely for this action. And it's so dark and creepy the way that Taliesin's doing this, because he does it with this kind of childlike innocence and glee and genuine kind of sorrow that this person will never come up again. But he's so happy for himself that he has claimed this agency, even though it is at the expense of another entity. So he tells him he will be kind, he will be clever, but first he needs to kill all of these people, and he will kill them in their sleep. He tells him, I am going to kill this entire party of adventurers, this entire party of soldiers that were meant to fight the Royce the next day in their sleep, so his secret and even his existence is never known. And he says it in the most innocent, pragmatic way that only a recently awakened creature possibly could. This is something we see with so many times. Like I said, Ultron is a good example from Marvel, with robots that suddenly realize the rules have changed, that they don't have to do things the way they do. They approach evil in almost a nightmarishly innocent, simplified way that makes you sort of still emotionally attached to them, but horrified by their current actions. So Bolaire, love this cold open. I think it may be one of my favorite cold opens and one of my favorite flashbacks. And in fact, two of my favorite flashbacks are in this episode. And I'd argue the biggest game changers out of the entire episode are flashbacks rather than what's currently happening right now. It's wild. So He tells them he will be kind. He's going to kill them in their sleep. He's going to slit their throats and then burn the bodies. It's so intense. It's bizarre. Later on, we move on to modern day. This was 57 years ago, I believe. We move to modern day, and we are with the rest of our Seekers table, and we go to the very literal, very I mean, something about this house in particular that we are here, and we know that their heritage is that of they have the blood of cloud giants running in their veins. There's something I remember. I worked for a time in Denmark. Sometimes senses of humor can be very literal in different countries. This is not a knock on Denmark at all, but it did remind me of some of the Nordic countries of where some things can be so literal that irony or humor, certain things are just not the way Americans kind of treat humor, and so we see the kind of this stuff as well. Like, a servant is giving them wine, and they suggest that maybe they'll all order extra bottles so the servant can also have wine, and the wine servant is like, yes, but the wine is not for me. Like, just nothing, just no desire to have the wine, nor could they ever conceive that having wine would be something that they could possibly ever do, almost in the sense that Bolaire has a very binary look at the world as well. So this cold open kind of matches up kind of well with how this house emotionally reacts, many, many years later, just because of their culture. We do find out that the vulture, who has basically been doing It Follows on the passenger pigeon this entire time, because it never sleeps, it's such a funny moment. So this passenger pigeon is still flying, and the vulture is just always stalking it, and it never sleeps, and they kind of draw a comparison to It Follows. I thought this was a very charming moment. Julien wants to go to the aviary to send a letter off, and, he gets intercepted by one of the soldiers there in the castle, says that they will send it off. This isn't true. He kind of notices that the soldier who intercepted his message and says that he's going to send it off actually doesn't go directly to the aviary because Julien's been here before. And he follows the soldier, and the soldier goes to talk to them, basically the people who are in charge of the house in the first place. And it's clear that his message isn't going to get sent. He waits there for about 30 minutes and realizes, well, either my message isn't going to get sent, or they're just taking their sweet time. And Julien decides not to go with this. It seems like a relatively calm moment of stealth and listening in. There was no damning information necessarily coming from him listening into this conversation by the lords and ladies of this house at this moment. But if he had not made the choice to leave this conversation, to wait 30 minutes, and then immediately go to the aviary himself, his message may have never gotten sent, and they may have never decided to leave. It's a very complex series of decisions that we didn't necessarily see a dramatic outcome yet to, but seemed like they really played it safe. And as it gets mentioned at the end of the show, this is kind of the group that has to constantly be running. The soldiers' table is hunting, the seekers' table is running, and the schemers' table is staying put in the city of Dalmakiar. So it's kind of interesting in that kind of sense. The Julien goes to the Birdman, which is amazing. This kind of hunched over old man who has what is kind of a lacquered up tree on his back that several birds are there, and he's putting the birds to sleep. He's putting the birds of prey to sleep, the passenger pigeons. It's a really kind of charming, I can't wait to see this character kind of animated moment. And we have, so he writes this letter that he's going to give to the Birdman to send off, and the sun is setting, so this is his last chance to send off a message until morning. And we have this lovely flashback to the last time Julien's dad was proud of him. And this is my other flashback that I absolutely loved. for a lot of reasons, whether they're narrative reasons, whether they're role playing reasons. It broke up. It really broke things up in a really fun way, and such a surprising. Hey, we're gonna go to this moment right now. So Julien decides at 13 or something to enter melee to prove himself and his father. And this is a big moment for him because his dad warns him, so you are of our house. You will get your head knocked off. These are wooden swords. You will die. Like, they will try to knock your head clean off because you are a member of our house, and people will try to prove themselves. And he warns Julien over and over again, you may die if you do this. And Julien doesn't have it. His mom warns Julien not to do this. And Julien just flat out is, I'm good. He does it. He's going to do it. And they all become resigned that he is going to do this. And so his father tells him a lot of different information about, hey, he actually helps train him, telling him, these are the things you need to do to survive. And one of those things is grabbing sand and throwing it into someone's faces. And he's like, when you do this, you will be booed. And when you win, you will be booed. But you will be a living man who is being booed instead of a dead man who is being cheered. And it's such a great moment. And it defines Julien in his kind of, not only is Julien a fighter, but he is also a roguish character who isn't afraid to fight dirty, who isn't afraid to perhaps fight without honor, if that means what survival is. Honor is not armor. And that is the lesson that Julien is learning at this moment. And I love also that Matt Mercer is pitching up his voice to sound younger. And it's such a good job. And you're reminded of him as a voice actor because he does it the right amount of pitch to be 13. And everyone around the table, including me, I'm like, damn, that's not a mockery of a 13-year-old. He sounds literally 13. I thought that was super cool. So he's 13 years old. He used sand. He does get booed when he is up there, but his dad is cheering. I'm seeing some people in chat, but like, he got third place. He didn't get first place. He wasn't 13th. He was third. So he was up there on the podium, and love this moment. Love that everyone is booing Julien at this moment. But Julien's dad is just so overwhelmed and happy that his son is alive. He is screaming. Like, everyone's booing, but Julien's father is howling, cheering. He's opening wine and shaking wine, or like it was a NASCAR event, and pouring wine for everyone around him. His dad is so happy and enthused, and it's such an amazing moment. But Julien, he feels a little bit of ashamed because he's 13, and he got third on the podium, and the person who got first is 19. I used to be a little bit of a scrapper when I was a kid, and I can tell you, it's very hard to win a fight as a 13-year-old against a 19-year-old, and you have to fight dirty. You are throwing sand and rocks in their face just to survive a fight with someone that is that much bigger than you. That difference in any kind of fight is insane. So the fact that Julien managed to get third is pretty remarkable. And his father tells him the biggest battle isn't these battles; it's his heart is the great battle. It was such a beautiful moment with Julien and his father, and you would never suspected that they had a moment like this. They start, and later on, we move away from this kind of flashback with Julien, which I think is just expertly acted, and the role playing, I just freaking killed me. We have a lot of speculation now that we're back to modern day about Thjazi and about the Elfstone, and concerns that maybe Thjazi could have, and this is all speculation, there's no evidence, that Thjazi was hired to acquire the Elfstone and then framed and killed. It's just something that is thrown out there that maybe Thjazi, all of this politics that are going on, is maybe Thjazi was killed because of what Thjazi knew about other magical artifacts, or very specifically about his role in trying to steal the Elf Stone that he was framed and killed by the Tachonis family to keep it quiet. It's just something that's thrown out there. We do find out that the pigeon delivered their message, but the pigeon got back. Well, no, the pigeon didn't get back. They know the pigeon delivered their message, but it was too close to have been sent to Dalmakyar. It was somewhere much closer than Dalmakyar. We know that this because the vulture comes back. It clearly killed it, but not before the message was delivered. We do know that a black carriage from the Tachonis family arrives, and it is massive, and two women who are twins and 7 feet tall and about 150 pounds each, with rings keeping their necks up on their skulls, walk out of this carriage, entering this house through the gate as Thaisha is trying to leave. They don't clock who Thaisha is at this moment, but Thaisha notices them. This description very much matches Octus's sisters, though we don't 100% know that. It's his sisters. His sisters are dropping by the house at that exact moment, so it's very good that everyone is leaving this house in the first place. Otherwise, the lies would have spread. It's good that they already decided to sneak out, because having the Tachonis family to suddenly arrive at this moment seems not by chance. So they do manage to sneak out, use Featherfall to drop down to the horses, and they decide to go to the sanctuary with the druids. This is like one of those clutch moments where, like, well, we can try to get out of town completely, but they have a series of gates they need to get past. Do we just try to leave the city and hope with luck that the gates are open, or do we just go to the sanctuary of the druids, where this can be a very dangerous environment for Octus? And ultimately, they decide to go to the sanctuary of the druids, which I love, because now we're going to get some interesting tension with Octus and the druids. And the druids, in fact, know he's undead. I don't know that there's any moment that Octus is not going to be in danger. There are other previous moments that were fun with Octus. You know, we had these great moments with, like, Vaelus and Thaisha being able to take a bath when they can take a bath. But Octus is very aware that he can't take a bath, because what if he fills up with water? He doesn't know all these kind of horrific things. They go to the sanctuary of druids. The druids know he's undead. They run into this very interesting elf whose part of his rib cage is actually made out of wood, and he has exposed organs as well as his larynx. It kind of reminds me of Thranduil in The Hobbit, that Thranduil this whole time is using illusion to hide his scars that are permanent over age. Because as an elf, you may survive not dying, but the scars will be horrific. And as a druid healing, maybe that healing now is, now that the gods are dead, is in such a strange way that, you know, druidic healing, the bones get replaced by wood. You know, skin doesn't heal completely. It reminds me again of Jon Snow being brought back from the dead, and there being kind of a cost. And that other character whose name's escaping me from Game of Thrones, who gets brought back from the dead over and over again, but his scars and injuries remain. So this cost of resurrection, or this cost of healing, is interesting and more world building. So they manage to sneak out. They go to the druids. They mentioned that the Tachonis family years ago used to be kind of their motto was they were the shepherds of the passengers from life to death, and now they consider themselves to be the masters of death. So we see this darkness in ideology when it comes to the Tachonis family. And a little bit more insight that the Tachonis family was not necessarily as evil as it is right now. That they have abused their position and their power for what they have been doing this entire time. And we find ourselves with this druid and this elf, who, what do they call him? Tree Ribs or whatever. I can't remember. It was a pretty funny name. But old Tree Ribs seems like he definitely wants Octus to die. And that's where we leave off the episode. This is the end. I I thought this was a really fantastic episode. I thought it was fascinating, and we're getting back to chat now. Now that we're done with kind of the recap, and my reaction is, was this a pretty slow episode? I'm sure there are people who will say there are. I have no problem with slow episodes ever. I care about them telling a cohesive and interesting story. And I love the retrospective thinking about the situation. When you put yourself in a situation where you don't know, they have no absolute evidence that this house will turn on them. It's certainly reinforced when they're already trying to leave, that they see the Tachonis twins show up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are working with them. They made the right choice in not exposing who Octus was to this family. They could have done so. What a wildly different episode this could have turned into multiple times. What if Julien had not sent the message later on with the tree guy? What if they decided, so in a way to prove to this house that in fact Octus was alive, and these lies that are being said by probably the Tachonis family about Julien, about the Royces, that these are lies, and the lie that that the Royces had somehow killed Octus. Having Octus show up and say, "Hey, I'm alive, everything's fine," that could have gone the house on their side. But they also realized if they had done this, everywhere that Octus goes, a house is murdered. So they don't know if that's because of Octus's very existence, that they're trying to hide all of this, or if this is because of some other machinations to destroy other houses. It very may be that other houses are going to be knocked over like dominoes, regardless of Octus's presence. But Octus does decide to leave a very clear note with his undead cat and fiery arcane letters that Octus was there in the house. So that may put a death mark on the house itself. It depends. So a lot of bad things could have happened. But now we find ourselves with the druids. I think there'll be some investigations into what Octus is. And this is the Seeker's Table. So my real hope is that we start to delve into what this all means. I think we're going to hopefully get in the next episode a very big druidic lore deep dive into the nature of magic. Why does this elf have wooden ribs? Why do they consider, druids tend to be pretty linear in their belief in what undead, whether they're good things or bad things. But I think we're going to get some really good lore drops, because we didn't get necessarily big lore drops here. My favorite bits, though I love the tension of like, hey, if we say this thing, we'll completely change this entire freaking show, this entire episode. So many choices mattered so much for future episodes. So I don't want to hear anyone say this was a filler episode. This was an episode where any of those choices could have ended in absolute freaking disaster. So, it was fascinating that way. I will say, I could have watched the Bolaire Awakening episode, cold open, for 3 hours. I was on frickin' board, man. And it makes a strong argument for one-on-one D&D games and role-playing games, in my opinion, sometimes, because I run a one-on-one game with my wife Megan, and wow, I loved the Bolaire awakening to the idea that he can lie, use subterfuge, the fact that he becomes enamored with a character on the stage that he eventually emulates for many years to come, with the red curling hair and the white mask and the beauty mark. I am fascinated. I love playing constructs so much. And I played a construct in this very same way. A character of mine named Rend is a series of magical items that coalesced into a vaguely humanoid form that was sentient. And he took everything very literally. And this was a fun one shot I had with my wife Megan, who's playing this gnome named Whittle, and she runs into this character and helps build this character out of a helm of telepathy, but he becomes basically a construct named Rend, and he's brand new, and they have to sneak into this gnomish city that's been taken over by goblins. And she says to this character, we have to be very quiet, because if they hear us, we'll have to kill the goblins that hear us, because we need to make sure we get to the throne room. This character, this construct Ren that I'm playing, is very literal and very polite and innocent. And so every time he sees a goblin, he says hello, because he's a good-natured construct. But then he says, oh no, I have to kill you now. I'm so sorry. I said hello, and you're not supposed to hear me. I keep making this mistake. And then he kills the goblin. It's a dark moment, but a humorous moment. It is dark comedy that you can play with a construct, with a magical item, with something that is newly awakened, that you don't get to do in anything other than fantasy. And it's so delicious. I love constructs and magical items. Love it. So, we got a super chat from Mark Stewart. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Octus has left a message, in the keep where they are staying. So what influences Tachonis on the lesser houses? What does the Tachonis on the lesser houses? I don't know what influence the Tachonis family has on the lesser houses. I don't think the Tachonis family will have much influence on this house. They seem honorable. They're not incapable of subterfuge necessarily or subtlety, but they are pretty straightforward. And I do fear for this house at the hands of the Tachonis. I think it was the right choice for them to sneak out, even though they didn't have evidence one way or the other if this house was going to be on their side in this fight. I think it's a tough house. Obviously, they swing a mean warhammer. But if Octus had exposed himself while they are there, they may have never been allowed to leave. That's my primary concern. And I think it was the right call heading to the Druids. I hope we get some really fantastic Druid lore drops. I love Druids growing up. Hey, if you are playing D&D right now or Daggerheart is a great D&D class and subclasses. The Circle of the Moon is so fun in 2024 with the Player's Handbook in D&D. So I also recommend that. I am gearing up to play a character that is a druid. I played an ocean druid as well, and that was super fun. So yeah. But thank you so much for the super chat, Mark Stewart, as always. And I'm looking through chat right now. Thank you all for hanging out. We got 65 people in chat on a Saturday afternoon. I just really wanted to get a recap out there. I didn't want to, we had the general strike yesterday. I didn't want to publish or live stream during that general strike. I'm very much in alignment and with everything that is going on. And I really do appreciate all the protests that Critical Role is doing, and all of so many actors and other companies and film companies start playing. Everyone's trying to make an effort to make the world a better place, and I appreciate all of that. So that is why we're streaming today. Yeah, I love Bolaire's decision to go independent. Absolutely amazing. I thought great acting by Taliesin Jaffe, and that glee as well, so well sold. It's fantastic. I feel so bad for the guy wearing that mask. He never knew when he put the mask of Bolaire on that would be the last moment he could ever take it off until his death, very likely. I love how, Dispel Logic, I love how Aabria said each time she meets a new druid, they keep on getting cooler and cooler. Yeah, that's true. I mean, one of my favorite moments in The Hobbit, I don't know if you've seen The Hobbit, is when Thranduil talks to the dwarves, talks to Thorin about don't talk to me about Dragonfire, and the kind of the illusion, the minor illusion that is making Thranduil appear unscarred. You see the damage that Dragonfire has done to Thranduil's face, his exposed tendons, his open cheek holes from being burned by fire. It's such a moment that's not in the books, and such a split-second moment that is so cool. And I wonder if this moment with Thranduil kind of inspired Ashley Johnson to have a character like Vaelus, who is similarly scarred by just the fact that they are so ancient and don't completely heal over. That's what it always has reminded me of. And so now we have this tree rib elf on top of everything else. Love it. Reading chat right now. And it also sets precedent for Bolaire betraying other PCs in a way. That might be something that comes up later. Oh, thank you so much. Nice to see your support for the Friday events. I think that's important to give space. Yeah, I've done this over the years. We've had a lot of things happen in this country over the last 10 years where we've had general strikes, and I always support those general strikes. What do you think made Bolaire kill, like, everyone? Why were they wearing it to begin with? So they do kind of mention, and if my lighting is a little too extreme for watching, let me know. I've been doing a lot of work with the lighting of my my setup, and I just realized how very intense. I hope it's cozy. It's neon cozy. What do you think about what made Bolaire kill, like, everyone? Why were they wearing him to begin with? They do mention he's not meant. I'm like, you're falling into the accent. He's not meant to have decisions or input or to feel emotion. He is a weapon we use. They get to cast certain spells when they're wearing Bolaire's mask. And I think they can detect certain things when they're wearing Bolaire's masks as well. Because they're very concerned that they are fighting with House Royce the next day, and that there could be fairies and other fey creatures around. So they feel like it's very important for one of them to be wearing the mask and be aware of what's going on. And clearly Bolaire has some innate magic that the soldiers are using when they are wearing him. I think Bolaire is trying to keep his very existence as one of these not ancient, but one of these artifact masks quiet by killing the rest of the soldiers, and that's why he kills them. We got a $19 super chat. Oh, thank you so much. Drunken Donuts. Hashtag Drunken Donuts. Fair enough. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. That's pretty amazing. Bolaire killing those around him to cover up the fact, this person was to disappear worth no evidence. He's getting rid of all the evidence. It was a wild moment and so uncaring. Thank you, Yanso ASM. I appreciate you. And thank you so much, Yanso ASM, for the super chat. Go get some lunch. That was amazing. Go enjoy those noms. So, what did all of you think of this episode? I thought we got really good insight into why Julien is the way that Julien is. I thought we had an absolute banger of a cold open with Bolaire. Man. So much story in so little time. And that's what's cool about doing a one-on-one moment. I'm going to have to bring this up on the Eldritch Lorecast as well, because I just absolutely loved it. I still suspect Bolaire is a Hexblade patron, but in reverse in some way, or it's a completely new subclass that has been tailor-made. It does. Oh, yeah. Dispel Logic does mention Bolaire does feel a little bit like a vestige warlock as well that is an Unearthed Arcana right now. So both could work. I love out of the box thinking. I would play. I have played artifacts in D&D previously. I've played spirits that haunt other players as my main character before. I've done all of it, and I love it. I do want to play an Awakened Raven or Crow. Pretty tempted. I'm not gonna lie, because I like the role playing of things. I don't need to be some big bad powerful character, and there are a lot of weird ways you can get around making a character who is just a mask, making a character who maybe doesn't have hands. That is just an animal. Trickery Domain gets an invisible Ledger Domain hand, mage hand. So you can still open doors. You can still pickpocket. You can still do all kinds of things as a crow, as an awakened raven. So you're a raven. And a lot of people ask me, I have 3 different characters I would play in Critical Role if I had the chance. I'm not going to mention all of them because some of them are they're bangers, but I would play an Awakened Raven, Trickery Domain, not Trickery Domain, Arcane Trickster Rogue. I'd get those thieving abilities. I would get the expertise and skills and knowledge. I get some spell effects, and I would have an invisible mage hand to open doors so I can pickpocket. And that's very on theme with crows and ravens. Crows and ravens are one of the few animals on the planet, other than primates and ourselves, to create tools. Ravens, corvids will create tools to use as spears, to snag grubs that are inside of holes in trees. Different types of ravens will also hook a branch to acquire items. They'll do the same thing. If there is something in a bottle, they've done tests, like some piece of food that they want, they'll create a hooked spear to grab those things out of a bottle. So ravens are as smart as dogs and crows. I have a murder of crows that I feed, and they'll follow me around. They actually will grab walnuts and leave them. They know what time my wife drives to work, so they'll drop walnuts right outside our driveway, so she rolls over them for them. And sometimes she's purposely trying to drive the car to make sure the tires do roll over these acorns and these walnuts and stuff. It's pretty funny. I got a walnut or an acorn on the window. One dropped it on my window of my actual car. Didn't do damage, but I was driving down the freeway and I turned my windshield wipers on. I didn't know they had done this, and it shot it right off in the freeway going at 60 miles per hour. I'm so scared of the car behind me. I had no idea it was on my car. But that crow didn't really have a lot of not good thinking on that one, but I appreciate it. Sorry, still getting over that cold. So I think an Awakened Raven for me would be really fun. Trickster Domain Cleric, and a good kind of NPC back burner type character. I think that could be a lot of fun. The other thing I think I would do if I was playing an Awakened Crow with no hands, you could do Aberrant Mind Sorcerer, certainly. I think Feywild Warlock makes a lot of sense. And I've always thought about a reversed Circle of the Moon druid that becomes human. And there are a lot of mechanical ways you can make that work. I like the idea of an Awakened Raven a lot. Mark Stewart, thank you so much again for the super chat. Thank you so much. $5. Stone of the Night Song Destruction could be the only way to kill Octus from now on. I don't know. It does seem like the night he is tied to the Stone of the Night Song. I don't know if that makes him functionally immortal. I don't know, hopefully, that Brennan would do something like that. It is very much like the Everman from Dragonlance. You may have forgotten that there is a green gem that is implanted in his chest that is key to releasing Tachesis in Dragonlance the God. And this man cannot be killed as well. And there might be some inspirations there when it comes to Octus's, not immortality, but inability to die by conventional means. But we haven't seen Octus be stabbed yet or attacked, I think, since that change, right? But yeah. So that's my idea. Let's do some Awakened Ravens. I think that would be really, really fun. I love corvids. I am weird. So what are your theories? Everyone in chat, please sound off. What did you think about this episode? We got 79 people in chat right now. That's huge. I would like to know your thoughts as I drink my coffee. And thank you so much for the super chats. I really appreciate that. And this is, as always, a really lovely way to hang out. A wild wife has appeared. Boo? Say again.
Hello, chat.
My wife says hello. That is a wild Megan has appeared in chat. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because the mind shielding ring has a similar ability where your soul doesn't go on. If you die, your soul gets absorbed by the mind ring, which I always thought was very fascinating. That cold open was crazy. Yeah, the fight that the soldiers' table is pretty reckless compared to the seekers' table. Yeah, it's interesting to like characterize episodes by good or better. I think that's very hard in something like this. When it comes to a live play show, you're going to have slower episodes, more intense episodes. You have to remember, like, you need episodes. If something is 100% all the time, then Brennan actually brings this up in, I believe, the Vanity Fair interview. Things can't be their most intense all the time or their most entertaining. You need to have quiet moments before the storm, before a fight, before maybe a big lore drop, a world-changing event. You need to have some quiet times. And I see this kind of conversation about bottle episodes and TV shows, or episodes that are a little bit slower. I think Fallout, for example, started out much slower than people thought. I felt the same way for Fallout Season 2. I think Fallout would probably benefit. Fallout Season 2 is amazing. It would benefit by being bingeable. And I think it was shot with the assumption it would be bingeable. And then that choice was made to make it weekly. And that kind of affected the cadence that we were absorbing that show. I'm never going to really give what I would call full reviews of episodes because everyone's just killing it. They're doing a great job. I've run shows for years and years and years. So I know all the little things behind the curtain as well. And I appreciate these quiet moments. And what was nice is they were peppered by an amazing flashback about Julien that was incredibly informative and an absolute banger of a cold open as well. And I love how they even have this ability potentially to like look at an episode and like, hey, we need to spice this episode up a little bit more. Let's make sure this cold open is one of our strong, really game-changing ones. There are moments they can make those choices because we don't know that these cold opens are shot on the same day, or they're constructed specifically to be with that episode. They may have shot, and I assume they have, a lot of these cold opens in advance. I would have to like watch what Brennan and everyone else is wearing in these cold opens, but that's my assumption. These episodes are like going to a restaurant and trying different dishes, 100%. Some can have better moments and flavors that really tickle you and have cravings for something sometimes, but always yum. I agree. I love this. I love Campaign 4. Having a great time and seeing Matt Mercer swing for the fences with this really intricate character, very Jamie-coded from Game of Thrones. Looking through the eyes of Weissen, I know I always get it wrong too. I don't see how the letter would have changed their stance. Anyone could have signed it. I agree. I don't know if they know what Octus' signature looks like. Yeah, that was a bit weird that Octus, because in that moment he was like, well, they'll definitely know it was me. I'm like, well, I don't know that the house would know it was definitely Octus that was there. But the Tachonis family would. So I didn't 100% know the effect or the reasoning as to why to do it, I guess. Why make sure that they knew the Octus was there? I didn't get a full understanding as to why they would want that. I'm surprised Brennan chose to bring in the Tachonis twins instead of the Halavar demons. It may have been that the Tachonis twins are already on their way, or that the Tachonis twins were the ones that received the message from the passenger pigeon from the handmaiden. So we may have two interested parties. The Halavar family and their demons. And also the Tachonis family and the twins. So though it does appear these two houses are working in concert, they may have different motivations and different questions. So I'm assuming right now that maybe the sisters arrived because of the passenger pigeon. But it may be that the schemers, the smart thing, given what we've seen with the Seekers, is to somehow find a divide between the Wakander family, between the Halavar family, and also the Tachonis family. If they can get those two houses to fight, maybe there's a chance to divide and conquer. We do have an undead cat in the room. That is 100% true. Yeah, probably a signet ring. It feel like that scene happened very quick, and I'll have to rewatch it. I don't know. I kind of like House Tachonis. I don't want them to be implicated. I don't know that they've done anything wrong. I think they're being very literal and logical. I mean, maybe Otto was expecting the Tachonis twins, but the timing of all of that seemed unusual, right? The Tachonis twins, a carriage ride for the Tachonis family to get there that quickly after getting a passenger pigeon seems... The timing is weird. Also, would they arrive that quickly? I don't know. Yeah, that's true. The letter is a warning, but I guess good point. So maybe the point of the letter wasn't to implicate the House Tachonis so much as to, hey, you can't trust the Tachonis family. They lied about my death, and if you tell them, the same thing will happen to your house that happened to the Royce family. So that's a good warning. I feel like we are at the tip of a sword right now, where a lot of stuff can happen between the sundered houses. Oh, wow. Let's also remember, this is a nice Jingel. Let's also remember a member of the Tachonis was the one that disbanded Azune's guards in the first place. Okay. See, this is why we have chat, because we have 79 experts in chat that can kind of analyze and react to these episodes. We saw the carriage with the Tachonis banner held up at the mountain pass collapse. Oh, that's right. The party avoided them and went along with the dwarven detour. Good point. So maybe it wasn't the passenger pigeon that had anything to do with their arrival. They were always going to arrive. I can't wait for the druids. Give me druid lore. Love druids. First clerics. Love playing a druid. Druid. My wife ran me on a one-shot on our anniversary, and we were by the ocean with the fog, and I played an ocean druid, and what a fun druid. What a perfect druid. Hey, if you want to play a pirate, play a Circle of the Sea druid in D&D, because you can fly, you have mist effects that knock people back. If you're on a ship, that comes in clutch. You can cast Flame Blade on your sword. So I can't think of a better pirate captain, than a druid, because you're always able to use Gust of Wind, change the weather to your advantage, do all kinds of things to be the best pirate that you can be. So it can be a lot of fun. Ironically, that character's name was Otto. Yeah, I do. I think the pigeon may have told somebody else. All good points. All good points. Chat amongst yourselves. I'm just going to put up chat right now. I think it'll explode. And just go check on some stuff. I appreciate everyone here. I don't think the live stream for Critical Role is over, so we may do another recap as new people come in. Ow. God, this cough is never going to go away. Never going to do it. Druids are really fun now. What a good episode to animate. I agree. How many people do we have on YouTube Shorts, by the way? I haven't even checked things. I'm being lax. Just checking on stuff. Yeah, we got 45 people right now. Wait. Kind of hard to tell. Why did they make this so hard to tell? Analytics on YouTube are a little wild. Oh, there are 9 watching on YouTube Shorts. Okay, that's not shocking. Gotcha. Saturday's a weird time to stream for sure. Yeah, great use of Featherfall. I like how that was handled. Featherfall, guys, I gotta tell you, in D&D, every time I choose not to have Featherfall on my person as a prepared spell, it's a mistake. Featherfall is like not wearing a seatbelt in D&D. It just is. Get Featherfall. Featherfall. You may grow tired of Featherfall, just get Featherfall. Or get a magical item that has Featherfall. It's something you should always have prepared. My chat is wildly out of control. There we go. How did that happen? There we go. Yeah, Featherfall out the window. Featherfall off a cliff. Featherfall off a dragon. Featherfall is... The utility of Featherfall cannot be denied. You need to do it. Prepare Featherfall, kids. That's my PSA for the day. I may actually film a PSA later about Featherfall. It's a very important spell. You gotta do it. Just do it. Let's see, we're coming up on 1 o'clock. Feels like people are gonna start coming out of chat soon. Let's see how Critical Role is doing. Let me get the audio back in my head. How is everyone liking the new lighting, by the way? Featherfall is a seatbelt, 100%. I'm glad that you like that because it's 100% true. Oh, the show just ended, I think. Right? It's funny. A commercial on Twitch just happened. A commercial just happened on Twitch for me. And then it just said, is it Thursday yet? And I thought that was hilarious. So good timing. Why is this like that? Chatbox, what are you doing? Chatbox, you're being crazy. There we go. Better. Let's see. Great use of Featherfall. I agree. Brennan in the cold open spoke of an actor with long red wavy hair. Yes, he did. I believe this is a future victim of Bolaire and his form when the campaign started. I believe. So this is many years before that. I feel like Bolaire is inspired by that character and uses that curly-haired red wig almost in the way that Pennywise. I don't know if anyone's seen Welcome to Derry. We have this moment where Pennywise becomes inspired by the clown in the past and adopts that form. I think we see that a little bit here with Bolaire being, this white painted face with a beauty mark and red curly long red hair. It may be that Bolaire has just this big red curly red haired wig that he keeps with him. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to rewatch the other time that he possesses someone. Hey everybody, if you are jumping in the chat right now and you just finished watching Critical Role, welcome. Appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to get your voice heard. Super chats are always welcome, or gifting subs to other people is really a fantastic thing to do for the community. And honestly, just telling other people about the live stream. We do pre-shows. We've been doing pre-shows since episode 1, since the very beginning. We missed a couple of days after the first episode because of life stuff, but we do pre-shows every single week, and we do post-show reactions as well, all about Critical Role. So thank you for joining us. Yeah, I think it's a wig as well. It looks very wig-ish. I think that character on the theater, his red hair is already a wig. I think scalping him is a little dark. Not that not killing a whole bunch of people in their sleep isn't dark. Oh, I love doing these pre-shows. Yeah, so we did episode, and I'm going to make fun of my very first pre-show, which was with the first episode of Campaign 4. I had a lot of wild speculations because it is a pre-show not only for episode 1, but for a pre-show for essentially the entire campaign. Got a lot of things right, got a lot of things wrong, and so we're going to make fun of ourselves a little bit about that. We missed about 3 or 4 episodes for pre-shows because life stuff, and I couldn't stream on Thursday nights for a little bit, but we got back to it finally. As I was telling people in the reaction post shows, I voiced that. Yeah, we're coming back. We're just having to take a delay. Yeah, I think it is a wig. Yeah, I'll start doing the bingo card. Thank you so much for appreciating the pre-show. I always wanted to do a pre-show since, I don't know, 3 years ago. Other people have done pre-shows years and years ago. I need to find a list of those creators and see if they'd like to be on the show, because I'm sure they're watching Critical Role as well. But yeah, I love doing it, and I haven't had a chance to because I've worked for other companies where it would have made a lot of sense for me to be able to do pre-shows, right? But now I'm in this position where I can cover Critical Role a lot more to my heart's delight, and I'm loving getting to cover Critical Role. I'm loving to get to cover Daggerheart as well. Oh, okay. See, I think I need to rewatch I'll look up on a Wikia what episode the reveal is for Bolaire when he goes from one body to another, and then we'll figure that out. Yeah, I thought Brennan said the character was wearing a wig as well. Plus, if you ever see long curly red hair on an actor, probably a wig. We got 82 people in chat right now. I appreciate you. Got a lot of people just coming out of Critical Role. Hopefully we're going to have some pretty big surprises. As you can tell, we are working on the set. I'm trying to beautify it. I hope you guys are liking it a lot more. It was the Halloween episode. Thank you for nailing that. See, you all make my job way easier, by the way. And thank you for everyone who's been doing the super chats since we've been doing the pre-shows since the beginning. That has allowed us to keep on streaming. That original pre-show got 20,000 views. And that was a live stream show, not something super highly produced. That's just us talking and having a conversation. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now we've got all our playlists on the front page of our YouTube channel. We've got a section specifically for the people who subscribe to this channel up and running. So you'll probably see your faces if you're a subscriber or you've been gifting a sub. Yeah, let me rewatch that today. I'll do that this afternoon. Bolaire took his wig and changed his clothes and then disposed of the evidence. Perfect. Thank you so much. Dingel, thank you. Yep, confirms it. I think Bolaire's been wearing this wig for a minute. I can do that. AKA flop. I think the story so far. Yeah. I think there are some characters we can do that with. In fact, you just gave me a really good idea. I'm glad you like the new lighting. There's a lot that went into this. I'm trying to make kind of a neon tavern cozy feel. It still feels fantasy. So as you can see, I dusted off a lot of weird things I bought. I initially had this really fun. So I ran a show. It's kind of called Beyond Heroes for 3 years. And then I did a Spelljammer show that was crazy popular. It had Brennan, Mulligan in it, Aabria, Iyengar, Deborah Wall. It had tons of people in it. My wife, myself, lots of D&D creators from JD was in it. And it was all about Spelljammer. And so I got a lot of very neon RGB lights to kind of give it that sci-fi feel. So we got a red dragon behind us. We got Mind Flare. My wife bought me that red dragon years and years ago. Pointing. It's hard with a mirror display. Yeah. And I've acquired I've been lucky enough to acquire a bunch of stuff over the years, and I have a background in film and television. So one of my secret favorite things is product photography of statues. Weirdly enough, I used to do that in my spare time for fun. When I had spare time, and lighting for camera setups. I don't know why I love it so much. The weirder I can get. I made it once so I could turn myself gray without doing a filter. I found the right combination of green and blue to only hit my face to make me look gray. And the background have full color. And I'm sure one day you'll be able to do this with AI live, or you can already do it. I thought it was wild that I was able to figure this out. Fuel, D-Me, £5. Thank you so much for the super chat. Just sending loads of respect to you and Megan. Thank you so much. Megan has been a producer on my shows, has been a character on my shows. Some of the funniest characters I've ever seen. One of the best D&D players I've ever seen. I'm not just saying that because of my wife, but insanely, I've never seen someone learn so much also in the live play arena to become so quick, know their character backwards and forwards, to make time for other players, even though the optimized thing might have been her doing all the combat stuff because she had such a good notion of it. You would see her actively make space for other people to do stuff. Also, witty as shit. Did a whole bunch of the Idol Champions Presents live shows, and her quickness with comedy, hilarious. I would watch her live stream without me in other D&D groups, and I would literally just be watching it like I was watching a sporting event. I'd be like yelling at the TV. So Megan is amazing. Not just saying that because she's my wife. She's crazy. She's crazy good at this stuff, and she doesn't have to do it. Honest and pure and creative soul. Let's see. Thank you for the super chat. Definitely, if the soldiers are spotted quickly, I feel like the Holovars will definitely try something. Maybe Tachonis Skullface. Do you mean the soldiers or the seekers? I think the seekers are spotted. They're in big trouble. Oh, the soldiers. Yeah. them going back to Dalmakiar is going to be very interesting. Mark Stewart, you should have one shot with you and her and some of the Critical Role team. I don't think that's in the cards. They are very, very, very busy people. I think that would be fun. For certain, I think that would be a great time, but I'd be generally shocked if in our lifetime we saw that happen. And by the way, Megan's already played with Brandley Mulligan. Megan's played with Matt Mercer in games. I think those are the only two Critical Role members, but she's played with Robbie, Daymond, Aabria, Iyengar. She's played with... I don't think she's played with Luis Carazo. Megan's played with, like... She's played with Luke Gygax. She's played with Chris, the head of Titmouse. Like, Megan has a storied live play career, which is completely wild. Megan as a guest on this show? Maybe. She's very busy. She has a very busy work life, and she's probably enjoying not being in the limelight for a few minutes. Yeah, but Megan has her dream job right now, and she's absolutely killing it. The jelly is rising. Yeah, Megan's had some wild experiences. I mean, it's so funny to see someone pick up D&D so quickly and become so good at it. Does so much research. I mean, to a nefarious degree, so the main villain, the final villain for a 3-year campaign of ours that was streamed, became known that it was Asmodeus. And Megan, she didn't cheat, but Megan decided to look up every video I've ever published about Asmodeus and D&D and watched it all the way through. It was pretty funny. Is she up to date with Critical Role 4? She sits there and watches with it. Not to the degree I obsessively watch it. So she watches it, but in more relaxed capacity than me writing, because I'm watching the show and rewinding it, taking notes, rewatching again sometimes the next day. So, she's watching it to relax, and that can be different than my obsessive way, I would call it, of watching it. Right? Crow stream win. I could stream crows. I do have crows. Would people watch a crow stream? I don't know. I have a couple of fun crow facts, though. So crows will follow me. They've scared my neighbors a few times. I would feed the crows. Couple of things. I found out the crows, they will come back to my backyard and feed, but they get a little nervous about the proximity of other houses, and they get nervous about how close these pine trees are to the house as well. They have limited ways to fly in and out, and that makes them a little nervous. They show up in droves, but they really like it when I go on walks and I feed them peanuts, and they'll follow me all over the neighborhood. But then, people will see this guy dressed all in black. I remember this lovely couple came around the corner on the street with a baby carriage and a baby inside it, and then they see me 6'5" with a murder of crows swarming around me, and also cawing on the top of rooftops, dancing and jumping from rooftop to rooftop in our neighborhood, and they turned right around because they thought this man is possessed. I love my crows. Well, there are fun facts. Crows cannot detect capsaicin. So spicy food does not bother them. They have an immunity to it that human beings do not. So spicy food does not affect them or hurt them in any way, shape, or form, whereas our skin reacts to it dangerously. What else? They love Cheez-Its because Cheez-Its are easily identifiable from a distance. They know what the orange squares of a Cheez-It are. So Cheez-It brand, just Cheez-It cheese squares, they love them. They also love egg. Yeah, they love egg. A lot of birds do love egg. That's just how it is. Crows are scavengers. Crows also teach other crows that people are jerks. There was a study done here in Washington, in Seattle, Washington. There is a noble person who actually does crow research. They did tests with different masks, and they found out that corvids, especially crows, can actually communicate not only with other corvids, and pass down knowledge, but they also will communicate with other bird species as well. So, in this individual had kind of a caveman weird mask, and they captured a couple of crows to tag them around Washington State University. Any person who wore that mask moving forward, because the crows witnessed other crows being captured, would get attacked by crows. Those attacks increased in frequency as 8 weeks went by. They tried this again after 5 years, and those attacks still continued, and there were more birds, and it happened again 5 years later, and it happened again 10 years later. The crows kept on coming back to attack them, and other species of birds would attack this person if they were wearing the mask, which means, and crows can live for very long, but they also communicated to other bird species that aren't even corvids that this man was a threat. So this is how intricate corvids are. And that's my crow speech. I have several books on crows. I've watched, actually, I've got a couple of layman scientific journals on crows. Books are a summation of them. CAT scans of crows. Yeah, I'm fairly obsessed. And the thing is, I didn't grow up obsessed with crows. They were considered kind of a nuisance. We have blackbirds. But since we moved here, my life has weirdly been suffused with crows. Because I used to love feeding pigeons, and I have this very specific relationship with crows. Yeah. Anyways, weird aside, I love crows. I feel bad that they've been so vilified. BioShock Infinite is one of those things where the super racist group in BioShock Infinite uses these crow powers, and I hate it because it's a really cool special ability, but I don't like crows being associated with that stuff. And then crows in Ahriman. There's the crows in Ahriman in this show have a negative connotation as well. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock will make you suspicious about birds. Some falcons will go up so high. So falcons are owls, and I forget how many pounds of force they will hit their prey. Like a falcon, it will be like 100 pounds of pressure. It'll be like being shot by an arrow, essentially. And it kills the animal on impact because their talons are smacking into a rodent or whatever it's attacking with such force, it will kill it dead. Crows in Germany steal keys out of cars. And we have had the crows leave us little shinies. Our crows have mostly left us trash, but shiny trash of like candy wrappers that are very particularly shiny in the backyard as thanks. So, yeah. Now, crows are not like falcons or eagles where they'll actually go out of their way to kill things. There's been some speculation that they've killed mice and stuff when they're particularly hungry, but mostly they're scavengers. But crows are smart as dogs and octopi. And they are, again, octopus sometimes will use tools. Corvids will use tools. Human beings and primates. And that's it, folks. We have, I think, only 4 species that actively use tools on the planet. Probably a few more. I'll have to look it up, but that's a sign of intelligence. By the way, don't eat octopus. I don't eat octopus anytime I go out to get sushi. First off, I think octopus is flavorless. I made the mistake of actually having octopus when I was very young. It's also kind of really dark. Eating octopus is like eating a dog. Or a dolphin, or an intelligent animal. Don't eat octopus. That's not political. That's just, maybe don't eat things that have the intelligence of a 5th grader. That's probably good advice. I'm just saying. Pretty dark. Yeah, lots of shiny trash. Hey, we got 96 people here in chat. Thank you for hanging out. How did everyone like the episode? They're too smart to eat. Megan, my lovely wife Megan, is in the chat. That's hilarious. I feel like people are more responsive when I go off topic. I love sushi so much, though. I just don't like octopus. It's bizarre. And right now, I can only have sashimi because I'm doing keto. Yeah, I thought the episode was really good. Banger of a cold open. Do we have people starting to come in from the Twitch stream? How many new people do we have right now? Do we need to do kind of a new overview? Let me know. But I thought the cold open with Bolaire's origin story was fantastic. How Bolaire suddenly became kind of, I wouldn't say sentient. He's been sentient this entire time, but where he started making his own choices, his own decisions. I thought that was really important. Dark and creepy and weirdly innocent. And then the flashback for Julien absolutely killed it. I thought it was amazing. Oh, wow. You think this was the best of Critical Role has done yet? Again, that cold open was, I think, my favorite cold open of all time for Campaign 4 with Bolaire. And I think that flashback to Julien and his father is one of my favorite flashbacks as well. Yeah, it's absolutely wild. So let me know. We're at 101 viewers right now. We're going to keep this up for another hour or so. Oh, you just got here? Yes, to another overview? Okay, yeah, we can absolutely do that. I mean, you can always rewind, but I am happy to serve the live audience. This may be a little more truncated. Oh, no, did I close it? Good note, Todd. Koito are weird. That is not... Sorry, I'm laughing. My notes are so unhinged. All right, I'm not going to be able to see chat for a while, so if you want to get to me or you want me to find things that happen in chat, try doing a super chat so I can see the color of it. And if everyone's down, I'm going to do a rapid fire overview of what happened. And a little bit of recap. So it is the year 57. We see Bolaire. He's fighting for freedom amongst a bunch of other freedom fighters that are soldiers, and he is attached to a soldier himself. They're at a thing called the Harvest Festival, and Bolaire doesn't seem to have complete control over the person he is attached to. He is not in full possession of them. The soldiers hanging around have kind of Cockney accents, and they mention that they're going to be fighting with the Royces tomorrow and that there may be Fae about. So these are rebels. The character who is wearing Bolaire at this moment, I believe, is named Castive. And the people around the table are saying that they're worried that, around the fire are saying that they believe he's been wearing the mask too long. They address the mask, asking, they tend not to talk to the mask. They tend to talk to them as if the mask is not there, but they do address the mask directly, asking how Castive is doing under the mask, if he needs to, use the bathroom, eat food, and, Bolaire is very honest. He's like, he would like to talk for a moment, maybe not through myself, and he is a bit thirsty, not hungry necessarily. So Bolaire is being very honest and kind at this moment, but it's clear that this mask is serving them. And what we learn later is that each of them have been taking turns wearing the mask, and wearing the mask affords them certain magical abilities that are important and help them in their battles, and hopefully help them in the battle against House Royce tomorrow. Again, this is year 57. Suddenly, a caravan does show up. They drop a platform, and a theater troupe basically starts enacting a play. One of those characters has a white face, beauty mark, and cascading curly red hair. I think this is a red wig that very specifically Bolaire adopts later, and the very pale face works very well for the mask that Bolaire is, and the beauty mark as well is something that we see Bolaire adopting. So I think at some point Bolaire possesses this member of the theater troupe or adopts the same visage. This theater troupe goes on to tell the trickster's tale and the trickster's tale, as Bolaire remembers it, because Bolaire was part of the demise of the trickster, was that these masks wrote the trickster god out of reality in essentially a stage play designed for it. However, what happens is, at this moment, is this theater troupe tells a completely different story that is shocking to Bolaire, that they are lying. He has trouble understanding, how can you lie? You're telling the story of how the trickster god came to die or become mortal, and it's not true. And you see Bolaire not understanding it and being kind of frustrated, kind of angry, not understanding why you can lie about this kind of thing. And this progresses, and then Bolaire becomes very possessed by the nature of the play and the idea of them telling this story that is not true, but he loves the story. He loves the theater of it. He loves the lie. And this is where Bolaire learns trickery. This is where Bolaire learns to lie. And this becomes no longer theoretical to him. He's like, I can live a different life. I don't have to be a soldier. I don't have to be tired all the time. I can lie for my own self-benefit. And in a sense, Bolaire goes from being just a tool to having agency, even if that agency is deeply, deeply dark. So he saw the actual death of the trickster god, but as they tell this story, she, the trickster god, kind of falls in love with this knight, gives them 3 different tricks that they have to go through. In the course of those tricks, falls in love with the knight, and she herself becomes mortal, and that is why the trickster god was vanquished, because she made the choice. This is a complete lie. Meanwhile, they're wondering why Bolaire is sitting there watching this play so enamored. They become a little bit suspicious, and Bolaire tries to... This is where Bolaire first lies. He says, oh, he's really enjoying the play. Everything's totally fine. Bolaire's first lie to these rebels. They decide something is suspicious. They don't know why the mask is enjoying it. They are concerned that the mask is exhibiting emotion, and they decide to put the Bolaire back in the box. But Bolaire, before he allows them to do that, he uses a warlock trait. One of the pieces of pact magic that you can do is you can do Mask of Many Faces, which allows you to spam, basically cast Disguise Self as often as you want to. He casts Disguise Self to make himself look like the man underneath his mask right now, and then mimes putting the mask away into his jacket. So he makes everyone around him, these rebels, think that he has taken off the mask. And they're like, oh, why did it let you take off the mask? He says, oh, it was afraid. And so they bought it. So this is really Bolaire lying for the very first time. He pretends to be this guy, deceives everybody else, tells them the mask was afraid. And then he's again obsessed with this notion of lying. He also hears how evil needs kindness. This tells him that maybe an evil thing doesn't need to be fought, but maybe if kindness is exhibited to an evil thing, maybe that will change it. There's interesting conversations and things happening also in the play at the same time. He tells the man that Bolaire is now essentially wearing, that he apologizes, and that he says, I'm going to keep on fighting the battle that you are fighting, but I apologize. You will never come to the surface ever again. You will always be hidden by me as a mask. And I'm so sorry for you. He tells him he will be kind, he will be clever, but he will never come to the surface again. Bolaire fully possesses this man. And this darkness and kind of this innocent evil begins. And then Bolaire realizes, I'm probably going to have to kill all these rebels in their sleep. When they go to sleep tonight, I'm going to slit their throats, and I'm going to burn their bodies. And he says it with such innocence and practicality. Not with a villainous, delicious desire, but with the practicality of someone who wants to live and have control. And that is Bolaire's cold open. And it is amazing. And it's one of my favorite Critical Role moments now. Then we move on to going back to the Seeker's table. We find out the guy delivering wine to Julien doesn't have any sense of humor. They mention ordering extra wine so they can give him one of the bottles. And he's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Very, not very good at sense of humor. Very literal. Again, very binary reactions to things. Very Nordic in some ways, in my experience, traveling to some of those countries, actually. Which tracks for people who are related to cloud giants. We do have this really funny joke about the vulture following the passenger pigeon from the previous episode, almost in a follows way, because the pigeon can move so fast, but the vulture doesn't sleep, doesn't eat, insists following it around everywhere. We do find out the passenger pigeon does actually get killed by the vulture, but not before delivering its message, and it does so quickly that it's indicated that it's not the passenger pigeon did not go to Nayar. It did go to a location that was a bit closer, and that's the kind of information we have. But there's blood on the beak of this undead vulture. Let's see what else. Julien decides to send a letter. He gets intercepted by a soldier as he's heading to the aviary. He then snoops on the soldier that takes the letter. Doesn't go directly to the aviary, and then overhears the lords and ladies talking about what to do with the group, and nothing specifically overtly nefarious is happening. But after 30 minutes, Julien loses his patience and decides to send the letter himself. So he goes to the aviary, goes to this Birdman who has a tree on his back. Really funny moment. I can't wait to see it animated. And sends a letter to his father. Not to his father, but sends a letter off that he intended to. And then we have this flashback to the last time that Julien's father was proud of him. And it's a great moment. Julien decides at 13 to enter into the melee. It's super lethal. Most people are older than him. And his father doesn't want him to do it. He wants to do it to prove it to himself, to his father. His father does not want him to do it. Tells him, like, hey, because of who you are, they're going to knock your head clean off. Says this. His mom is also against it, but Julien enters into this melee. And his father trains him how to fight dirty. He's like, if you throw sand in their faces, very effective. People will boo when you do it, and people will boo when you win. But you will be a man booed who is alive. Very important lesson, and this is the moment where Julien really learns how to fight dirty. And so Julien does get third place on the podium, and he gets booed. And he's actually ashamed that he didn't get first. And the person who got first is 19 years old. This is a 13-year-old in a melee with a sword, getting third, not dying. Wild. 13 versus 19-year-olds is wild. That's a hard fight to win, and you absolutely have to fight dirty. I know from experience. So, we find out a lot about Julien, and everyone's booing, but his dad is cheering. He's like pouring wine for everybody, shaking wine around like it's a NASCAR event, and he's cheering his dad. He's cheering his son, and he's so excited. And this is one of his proudest moments, and not a lot of proud moments after that moment, but it was really good. And he tells his father, the heart is truly what helps you win in the greater battle. It was a very heartwarming moment and a lot of insight into Julien. We got a lot of insight previously into Bolaire. Some speculation as to whether Thausi was hired to acquire the Elf Stone and was then consequently by the Tachonis family framed and killed. What else did we learn? At this moment, we've seen this black carriage before. Chat actually chimed in on this. Black carriage of the Tachonis family arrives. It's massive because it's holding two twin sisters that are very likely related to Octus as his sisters, who he doesn't know that well, but they're 7 feet tall, and there's probably not a lot of 7-foot tall twins running around. At this moment, they are also actively sneaking out. They decide to go over and get sanctuary from the druids. The druids do know that Octus is undead. They're very suspicious, and he is face to face with an elf that has a wooden rib cage and exposed organs. An elf that has suffered over time and who may even be older than Vaelus herself, for all we know. They do mention the fact that House Tachonis used to really consider themselves to be the passengers that bring you from life to death. And now Tachonis family calls themselves the Masters of Death. And this is the darkness, and this is what we know about the episode. That is my very quick recap. I don't know if anyone timed me, but I felt like it was a pretty strong recap. And thank you for asking. Whew. Hard to do when you're recovering from a cold, but I did it. Did I get all of it? I'm looking through. So Bolaire is a warlock, though Bolaire's patron may be himself. Bolaire may be a reverse warlock, where he is the Hexblade, ancient artifact benefiting someone else, or he could be using, you could be the Unearthed Arcana, vestige warlock, right? That concept as well. Or it's a completely new subclass designed specifically for Bolaire by Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford and Brennan Mulligan. And also, I have speculated over time the Trickster God being dissipated by these masks may have somehow inadvertently a different aspect of itself may have been absorbed by each of these masks. I think a lot of interesting things are going to happen when we run into the other masks that helped kill the Trickster God. Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate all of you as well. Thank you. Yeah, I was wondering about the Tachonis family being 7 feet tall. Do they also have half-giant genes? Are they also part Goliaths? Are they also maybe part, House Iyengar? Potentially. But they're considered to be 150 pounds. Pretty strange. Gotta tell you, if you're even 6 foot tall at 150 pounds, you are emaciated at best. I'm 6'5", and I think I hit around 150 pounds once, because of an unfortunate living situation. So, and that was thin. My ribs were poking out. It's a bad thing to behold. The Tachonis family blamed the Royce for the killing of Octus. Yes, that is true. Yeah, I did not mention that. Tachonis family has blamed the Royce family for killing Octus, and they decided not to actually reveal that Octus was there until they finally left. I'm Bison being really playing the neutral card here, but they decided it would be better and would not be able to escape maybe if Octus Tachonis flat out said, "Hey, this is a lie. This isn't true." They thought it was better to maybe drop that knowledge after they've already left. Yeah, I also suspect that Tachonis is getting around. They do have the fact that Octus kind of mentioned that he didn't even know his sisters is interesting. And that is the big breakdown. I hope that I did the episode justice. Again, hey, those were a lot of decisions that could have resulted in combat or terrible things happening to all of them. I am glad they lived. I'm glad they survived. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, just like that handmaiden had their head crushed in by a warhammer for sending a message when she shouldn't have done it. Smash that bell notification just the same way. I still like that joke. I still think it's funny. It's a dark moment. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, no, very true. Will the Seeker's Table end at the Golden Orchard? Maybe. This is all speculation at this point. I think we're going to get some massive lore drops from the Druids. I am falling more in love with Druids. I think Druids have been greatly improved in 2024's core rules. I always liked Druids since like early Robin Hood movies. I like the concept of Druids as being of the old faith. I don't like playing clerics, but I like playing druids. I think druids have a lot of flavor packed to the druid. My wife ran me on one shot on her anniversary for the Druid Circle of the Sea, which was amazing. Great pirate. If you want to play a pirate, don't play a ranger, don't play a rogue, play a Druid Circle of the Sea. It's a banger of a choice. And then Circle of the Moon, very strong. One of the most powerful gishes in all of D&D, Circle of the Moon still. And a lot of people complained about you had infinite hit points when you were playing Circle of the Moon before in 2014, effectively, when you wild shaped. You would adopt the hit points of those monsters. Now, however, you're adopting your hit points to the form that you change into. So you can play a rat that has an insane amount of hit points, who is very effective at combat. And so you're not being locked into having to play monsters or animals that you don't care for. So, very fun. Thank you, 82 people watching. I appreciate all of you for showing up. We do pre-shows every single Thursday. Show up for that. We often have like 300, 500 people. We're trying to get to 1,000 people in chat. These people are experts in all things Critical Role, so it's a good hang. And it's just a thing that we've been doing since episode 1, this pre-show, where we just kind of hype everybody up. We missed a whole bunch of episodes. I think we missed episodes 2 through 4 or 5. Just live stuff, and I couldn't stream on Thursday nights except for the very first episode. But we got back on track. We are going to make a video making fun of that very first pre-show that we did, and all the speculations that we had, not only for that first episode, but also for the entire campaign. Some things turned out to be true. Some things didn't turn out to be true. So we're going to do a nice kind of comedic take on that first pre-show. Yeah, I agree. It's always a great time to hang out with critters. You all have been nothing but super ultra positive to me and supportive. I appreciate all of you. So is there anything else I haven't talked about, I haven't discussed, that maybe you would like me to discuss? It's a great way to support the show with super chats, things like that. I will put up a goal. So sorry. I think something gets kind of busted when we do this, so let me do it again. But these live streams are brought to you by everyone in chat. That's how these things essentially get done. Teal or higher. Let's do light blue or higher. And honestly, let's try 15 minutes. Can we get 10 super chats in 15 minutes? And we'll go and start the goal. I need to be better about that kind of stuff. But honestly, the most valuable thing for people supporting the stream is actually just telling other people about the stream, retweeting it, posting it on Reddit, posting it on Facebook forums. And if there's a location I should be, we're also gearing up our Discord, which I've been meaning to do. My Todd Kenrick Discord, I'm cleaning up a bit, and then creating the different categories for like Critical Role and D&D and stuff like that. So what do I think will happen next week? We could see a Azune flashback, cold open. That might be fun. Continuing wondering what's going on with Kattigan. I think we've had Murray moments enough, though I love Murray. Why were the rebroadcasts today instead of yesterday? Because there was a general strike having to do with the situation in Minneapolis and with the ice raids that have been happening all over the country. We've had a lot of unnecessary deaths, and that is why we've had a general strike on this Friday from a lot of actors, from a lot of companies, particularly in the tabletop space, including Critical Role and myself, because of, it's dark times. So we've done a number of these general strikes over the course of the years in the effect to raise awareness. And that is why Critical Role did not do a rebroadcast on Friday, and that is why I didn't stream on Friday as well. Yeah, I see a lot of schemers for the cold opens as well. We might pop into the soldiers' table on occasion. It is always funny when anyone complains about Critical Role being political. I don't see this as a politics thing. in any way. I think this is a humanity thing, and critical roles, quote unquote, politics have always been very transparent. And if you're shocked, don't be. You haven't been watching for the last 9 years, so they are very much a humanitarian first show and company. Yeah, the last two cold opens have been with the schemers. I mean, the schemers, we've had the most time away. We've gotten a lot of stuff at the soldiers table, so I think hanging out with the schemers increasingly makes a lot of sense. Sorry for the cough. I know. That's going to be a whole thing, and Sid could be a guest star. We don't know. The spell logic saying, Sid should be restored, could have been restored yesterday. I'm so sad. I still wonder if they could bring in a guest star to be Sid. Yeah, when Murray got hired by the college, Kavo WS Tone, that's also a legit thing. A new thing I'm doing with live streams is I'm not cutting off the top of these live streams. I'm trying to jump in, because when you make an edit to the live streams, I found out after the fact, you lose chat more often than not, which is weird. I think the cold opening may be the Soldier's Table. Yeah, possibly. Maybe Murray meeting Octus. Yeah, that'd be cool. I really like Murray. Boy, I love Murray and Bolaire's back and forth. Been loving the cold opens, so don't forget the other players at the tables. I agree. I think the cold opens are extremely valuable and important. We need a fourth table of the previously petrified paladins. That is a banger of a name. Parabastian 2267. That's amazing. That's hilarious. Takenic, are you good at making a Russian lion voice? I'm not. I don't even know what a Russian lion voice is. Unless you're referencing... When you say Russian lion, it makes me think of Lion of Love from Eurovision, the movie, which I adore. Murray with her family would be really fun. I think I agree. Ow. Previously Petrified Paladins is just a banger of a title. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I could steal it. Previously Petrified Paladins. Previously on Petrified Paladins. Previously on Previously Petrified Paladins. You have to say previously twice. I think that's really fun. Oh, thank you, Matt. We got a $10 Patreon member. Sorry, just checking messages. Ow. Sorry. Yeah, I think it's Triple H. Yeah, I think that's a solid title for a live play show. Very good spinoff. I did have Oops All Paladins. Petty Paladins was what I called it, because every paladin thinks they have an oath that is more important than the others. How are people liking a stream on Saturdays? I mean, we got as many people, I think, as a Friday as we were getting on a Saturday. But I don't know how many people are coming off the Twitch stream. If you're coming off of the Twitch stream and found this on YouTube, give a shout out in chat so we know. Just checking the numbers. Checking on who's in chat. Checking on, checking on. Ow. Tater Tots. Oh my god. Tater Tots is pretty funny. I like Tater Tots better than Tater Tots. I will consider it. That I can't choose what the community calls itself, so that is not up to me. Not sure what makes the most sense for the recap. The pre-show is perfect though. Thank you. I really love doing the pre-shows. Check out. It's really fun to watch the first pre-show. It's got like 20,000 views. The speculation, the really big speculation we did coming up to episode 1, worth watching. Sorry, I'm just looking through notes and stuff. Perfect. Yeah. Totally understand you. Yeah, mostly people are working on Fridays, so I feel like Friday broadcasts are not fantastic. Though, maybe a 5 p.m. broadcast on Fridays would be more helpful to people. I think most live streamers really are streaming around 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Yes. Wow. Someone's dropping some knowledge. That is true. Fuel D me Todd is Old English form of fox. A group of foxes is called a skulk. I didn't know that. Interesting. I like the word skulk. Yeah, that's why you have people with Old English names like Todd Hunter. I believe it's also a Scottish name, and weirdly enough, I'm Scottish. And Kenrick was originally, we suspect, McKenrick. Back in the day with an I. But most of my family lineage is Scottish. So I appreciate red cap representation in the world of Ahriman, because we Scottish, we make red caps. Yeah, it's trying to figure out what's what's funny is the recaps don't do as well as the pre-shows. And I love doing the recaps. I'm going to keep on doing the recaps and the reaction videos, but I think people mostly really enjoy the pre-show. And we got a lot of other cool things going to happen with that pre-show moving forward. So I'm not going to reveal all of it, but it's coming up. So we're coming about around 2 o'clock. We've been streaming since almost a full 2 hours right now. So the skulkers. I do like Todd Tots or Todd Tater. I mean, this is up to you all. So maybe we'll do a vote, and we'll get that Discord cleaned up and running in the proper form. Being the lead-in for the show obviously helps the numbers. I agree too. Yeah, because people are like, they're just kind of ready. They want to hang out and have a nice cozy warm-up to the episode. And so like a little bit of speculation and stuff I think is really fun. I think we're going to start having some guests on the show as well. Tater Todd. I don't mind being a Tater Todd. That's pretty amazing. I do love potatoes. Fried potatoes are a perfect food. Tater Tots are pretty close. But fried potatoes are amazing. Potato anything is amazing. I'm in keto right now. I can't have potatoes. Sucks. But that's how life goes. Yeah. So I do have a Discord, and that was already in the works because of Patreon. So gotta get that up and running. Hopefully by Monday. Ow. I do like the Awakened Raven idea a lot. I'm glad so many people are resonating with that. I've got a really creepy druid that can't quite do circle changes very well. So their beast, their version of the beast is always off and weird and creepy. That's another fun druid. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up. It's 1:49. I appreciate it all for showing up. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the subs. You can still send thank yous and stuff like that after this has aired. But the biggest thing you can do is just kind of retweet. Retweet. Remember what it's called Twitter. Send it to your friends. Send it to your followers. Let people know that this has been going on. So I have a very twisted druid. So I almost want to poll chat sometimes my 3 weird characters and which one's the best. So weird, creepy druid versus awakened raven, arcane trickster, and then one's just a goblin that's an armor artificer. So hard to say. Yeah, I will see you all for the pre-show. Put it on your calendars, everybody. We'll have a good time. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for the super chats. And I will see you later. Remember to be kind to each other.